Hello and welcome back to my Let's Build series. Today's episode is the final episode of the Colosseum build. We're going to try and get things finished in this episode so that we can start a new build next week in Alpha 10. So the first thing we're going to do is jump to the top of this tower, this giant tower that we've been building since the very start, and we're just going to decorate this flat grey wall with an extended window like some of the other parts of the build. And we're doing that just to stop the wall from being bland. A flat wall is often quite boring to look at, so we're going to make it a bit more interesting by adding this window. I built it in the same style that I build most of the other structures in the build, just, white blocks, a wooden border, and some red roofing. Now it was time to build this ornament that I've been going on about. So I wanted these sort of giant, horn things. So I built these two shapes in front of you that are making this kind of weird resistance symbol shape. And I was experimenting with using some grey blocks and some orange blocks to, line on the front of that. But in the end I didn't want to do that. So what I did was I just put a single layer of metal blocks on the very spine of the structure. Then I added these weird, feathery parts that come out the bottom. They were just for detail, to try and, make things look a bit more exciting. I wanted spikes on the top, and in the end we ended up with this. So we've got brown metal, we've got black metal, we've got gold, and we've got grey. And we've built these two, almost they look like dogs. So German shepherds, maybe, looking out from each other. And then we put a huge red gem in the middle. I changed the brown that I'd used for red, just so we had a more consistent red feel. Then I started to play around with the actual top of the tower. Didn't really know what I wanted. I wanted a platform so that the ruler or a priest or whatever could come up here and they could start, doing rituals or just viewing everything from this amazingly ornate place. Didn't know what to line the walls with, so I started with white. That didn't look very good, so I did the wood instead, but the wood didn't look very good either. So in the end, I decided to extend the roof and make the roof integrated into the top of this platform, and this is what it looks like. We put a balustrade around the top and some lights as well, and you can see it from down here in the Colosseum. It looks very majestic, very huge and awesome. Now we're moving on to another area of the Colosseum. This area here is going to be my little gambling area, and I just added in some wood that wasn't there before, and then it was time to add in that PvP leaderboard. Now I think in Alpha 10 that PvP leaderboards are going. I'm not too sure about that, but for now I've put the PvP leaderboard in. This was intended to be a PvP map. I added a little gong as well, just to symbol the start of a match maybe, and a little bench to sit on. I added some very tiny details here, just some canopies over these doors to make them feel a little bit more detailed. I put a balcony in at the front of this section. Now we get to building the actual central fight pit itself. This is a really important part of the Colosseum. I absolutely had to make sure that I nailed this. I started by just drawing huge lines of dirt, and then I had to fill them all in, which took me a little while, but I used my lovely Block Runner boots. I can't wait for Alpha 10 because there's going to be lots of new construction tools which are going to help make these processes so much quicker. Once I'd filled the whole thing in, I decided to make some drawbridges. Now I'm going to have drawbridges coming from each of the 3 entrances, and they're going to attach to the island. So the idea by now is that the island is its own floating island in the middle. There's been like a moat carved around the outside of it, and then there are going to be drawbridges from the doors that can be lifted and raised as people enter the arena and then fight. I decided I wanted the whole arena to be green, so in the end I changed everything for green grass, and this is what it looks like. I left a few patches of brown blocks, and that's because the default island grass colour is red, and I wanted there to be some like blood marks around the arena, so in the long run I've left quite a few brown marks around so that when I come back to the island everything will look red, and you'll see that later on. But I also added in some wooden like messy pathways that lead into the centre of the ring. I decided I wanted the centre of the ring to be a white stone as opposed to the clay I was just using. But we do still use the clay. I go around and I put a layer of clay around the outside of the white ring. I messy the edges of the white ring, and again you can see me adding in some of those dirt patches that are going to turn red. And here we go, here's what we've got so far. So we've got a lovely white ring with some clay around it. I put in some white stone blocks just to make some small like crumbling rock pieces, as if there was a structure here before. I also added in some white stones all over the island, and then I started littering bones around the place. Now obviously lots of creatures and people have been fighting here, so there's going to be plenty of bones. I had these huge rib bones, and I tried to make a little rib cage, but in the end that looked a bit weird and a bit big for the structure, so I decided to put the ribs in between these standing braziers. They act as gateways for each of the gladiators. Then I came to the entrances and I sorted them out with some wooden stuff, and then I put 2 of these wonderful banners. So that was blue corner. This is brown corner. And the last one is green corner that you can see right in front of you there. So this is what the Colosseum looks like now. So we come to the poor entrance for the Colosseum now, and we're working on the shop areas that I mentioned in a previous video. We're just adding in some shelves and some crates and, you know, a little counter for people to exchange over. You can see that the other shop is just generic-y stuff like thatch baskets and some metal pots. What's in the thatch baskets? Well, I don't know. You'll have to go and buy something. I worked on a weird gravelly path. I've been mentioning that I was going to do a gravel path, so it was time to get on with the gravel path. I wanted it to be messy, so I added in parts of wood as well. Then I built a little wooden dockway at the end there. You can just see me building a square. It's quite a basic dock. Then I added in some little grey wall parts and some standing braziers too. And this is what it looks like. We come to the rich entrance now, and it was looking a little bit like it needed something to arrive on. So I built a long bridge out the front. At the end of the bridge there's going to be a spawn location so that you can spawn and look at the giant structure in front of you. I wanted this bridge to be really long though, so that you got a good view of the structure in front of you. I added in some details so that I could have some lamps along the bridge. And there we go. Now it's time to do something very important that I probably should have done a long time ago, but I'm going to be adding the windows to the whole build. So I'm going through the whole build with something like 100 windows. It makes a huge difference when you start filling up the holes, and that's going to be looking really good. You're going to see loads of those windows as I fly over in the end shots, but for now, we're back to the poor entrance of the Colosseum, and I needed to decorate the Colosseum's flat grassy areas. So I start building some makeshift trees. These trees are nothing special. They are by far not the greatest trees I've ever made, but they'll do the job. I mean, I kind of based them on very simple squarey trees, and, you know, some of them are a little bit different, but most of them are very similar in design. I didn't do anything special here, I just wanted it to look a bit busier. I did build a little camp in here, so you can see me adding a little campfire pot and some stools and a little bit of blankets and a little shelter. And I added in a little chest there too and some piles of logs. And the whole thing just looks a little bit like a camp. And then you can see that this is the finished Colosseum. We have our central fight pit. We have the top of the towering structure. We have our decorated front grassy area. And here it is again. Now we're going to be looking at some final shots. This is the first final shot. It's the final shot of the poor entrance. This is the second shot. This area is my favourite area of the Colosseum. It is the actual fight arena where the gladiators will fight. This is a look at that giant towering structure. And this is a look at the towering structure from the other side, from the bridge where you'll spawn. This is a look at one of those side towers, and you can see the drawbridge at the bottom and the balcony at the top. So here we are, this is the final look at the Colosseum. But wait, before you go anywhere, I heard something strange is happening down in the arena, so let's go check it out.
Whoa. Where the hell am I, Faz? And how have you been this busy?
I caught you trying to sit on the Emperor's throne. You're going to be punished here in the arena.
Listen, I can explain. It was very cozy, it was a hot afternoon, and I was sleepy.
Well, none of that matters. You must be punished. Are you ready?
So it will end like this, then?
It will. Ah!
Wait, Faz! Why does it always end like this? Has there not been enough bloodshed? We should put aside our differences. We're brothers, after all. And team up. This is madness.
Madness? This is Sky Saga! Yeah!
Faz and Low.